Okay, so following up on the last video concerning this lost chapter of the book of Acts, I went over verses 3 to 6. There wasn't a whole lot I was able to expound on aside from verse 3. I read how Paul arrived safely into Spain along with his company that he brought with him from Rome. He preached in Spain mightily, converted many Gentiles as well as whatever Israelites were in that region. And I last read verse 7 where it said they departed out of Spain. So they left Spain just as they arrived, which was in one piece. It also says in verse 7 that Paul and his company found a ship in Armorica sailing onto Britain, and they went therein. And passing along the south coast, they reached a port called Raphanus. So in this video, I just want to focus on verse 7 because the next verses deal with Paul's arrival in Britain. And since it's mentioning Armorica first before Britain, I wanna expound on that area. I'm not familiar with this port that is called Raphanus, but I'm assuming it's located in southern Britain, somewhere in there. But before that, it mentions this name here, Armorica, which sounds a lot like America. And that was the area Paul and company went to in order to cross over to Britain right after they left Spain. So let's get an old school map here. And here we have an ancient map. It's not that old compared to the others, but it's pretty old. Alright, so it's during the times right after Christ's death, burial, and resurrection. It was shortly after those times that Paul was sent to a lot of these Western European countries. So here we have a map here on the left hand side. Towards the bottom you have Spain, which Paul and company left, and they traveled all the way up here to all this area that you see here in the middle. That's where present day France is located. So this would be modern day France. And they traveled towards the northwest part of the region of France, which was called Armorica back in the day, as you see here, just as it is written in that verse 7 of the lost chapter of the book of Acts. Same exact way it's written, Armorica. And so they went there to get a ship that would cross over to Britain. So let's take a look at, let's expound on that name, Armorica. So it's located in the northwest region of France. And here it is. You can verify it in Wikipedia. See that? It says Armorica or Armorica. You just insert an E next to the R. It's almost the same thing. Armorica or Armorica is the name given in ancient times to the part of Gaul. See that, as it says right there? But I don't want you to get thrown off. So it's an ancient name given to an area or a part called Gaul. So what is this area called Gaul? What is that part? Well, let's skip over to the information that Wikipedia gives us in regards to France. So let's get the background on the names of France. Here we have Gaul. And I'm going to highlight it. There it is. It says, before being named France, the land was called Gaul. See that? So let's go back. So again, Armorica is the name given in ancient times to the part of Gaul or the part of France. So it's located in present day France. It's just doesn't go by that name any longer. And if you want more insight on Gaul, because it's not just France. France was pretty large back in the day, so and it got it's not as big. The whole country's not as big as it once was. And I'm going to show you why, because that whole area. Okay, so here it is, Gaul. It says Gaul was a region. Okay, I'm reading this part here. So, all right. Let me try that again. All right, it says Gaul was a region of Western Europe during the Iron and Roman era. During the Iron Age and Roman era, encompassing present-day France. So was it just France? No. See, back in the day, that Gaul area also included Luxembourg, that country, as well as Belgium, and most parts of Switzerland, northern Italy, as well as minor parts of the Netherlands and Germany on the west bank of the Rhine. See that? So again, Gaul is what is modern day France, but it stretched out farther than it does today. See, and now if you were to look at a Gaul in a map, if you were to put it next to the modern day map that we have in our present age, you will find out that France would absorb these other countries like Luxembourg, Belgium, Switzerland, northern Italy, Netherlands, and parts of Germany for the most part, or in minor areas. So all these countries were in ancient times part of France before it was divided into all these countries that you see here. So, but for the most part, not to get confused, for the most part, Gaul is considered France because it has a larger portion, you know. So all these countries got separated, you know, they weren't part of Gaul, or meaning, you know, they became their own independent countries. They still were in the country of France. And despite France being, you know, how do you say it? Not having the luxury of being as large as it once was, it still could be considered for the most part Gaul, because if you were to put them next to these countries, it's still larger than most of them. So okay, so going back again, Gaul, as it says, it was the ancient name for France, as we just read. So I'm going back. I'm backtracking here. Make sure nobody gets confused watching the video. Again, before being named France, the land was called Gaul. And again, it included other countries that are neighboring that area. And Armorica, again, is located in the Gaul area. And let's go back. And Armorica is located in northwest France. You have other countries like Belgium, Switzerland, northern Italy, Luxembourg, parts of Germany. So all these areas were on top of France, you know. But nonetheless, most of Gaul, the body of Gaul of that area, is what is present-day France. So don't get confused. So Paul and company left Spain. They traveled to this area here. On your left-hand side, that says Armorica. On your left-hand lower side of the screen, Armorica, and they took a ship from there and traveled to a port called Rafinus in Britain. Not sure what that's at. I'm not going to bother with it. Alright, so again, verse 7, it says that they left Spain, Paul and his company, and they found a ship in Armorica sailing to Britain. So now you know where Armorica is. Now you know it's the northwest region of France. That's just the ancient name for it, Armorica, during the times of Paul. All right. And in the next verses, I'm going to be discussing and reading Paul's arrival in Britain. Unlike verse 2, where I just examined and opened up the whole premise for Paul's visiting not just Spain, but Britain as well. Remember, some of the tribes during the exile sailed to Britain during the Assyrian captivity. Some of them escaped by ships, by sea, to the isles afar off. So, and in the next video, I'm going to focus on those isles that are far off. All right, so until then, shalom.